Hello everyone, welcome to this week's edition of Man to Man. I'm your host, Hugo Robertica. The conversation that we've got today is a tough conversation. It's a sensitive conversation. It's a conversation about living life with disability. And the person that we have on the show today is Uzile Mkwanzi. And he's going to walk us through his life, his young life. He's under 30, but he's had to go through some tough moments. He's grown, he's become a better person, and he's going to tell us all about it. Uzile, thank you so much for coming on to Man to Man.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Rico.
So, you know, when you and I first met, we had a conversation about what happens when you walk into a room, when people walk into a room, and they see that you're living with disability. What are the sort of conversations that you're having with those people? Because there's a stigma, right? That's associated with having a disability, and part of that stigma, I think, also stems from people failing to understand, right, how to deal with somebody who lives with a disability.
Right.
So, walk us through your journey, right? I know you were born with 2 club feet, and eventually you had one of your legs amputated. Yeah. So take us back to your earliest recollection of your life.
Okay. So my earliest recollection, I think, was just before the operation. So how I'd walk is I'd be seated. So I'd move my hands first, then my body. That's how I'd move. Then after the operation, I then had to get these feet, artificial legs. So it was a process. No, before that I had a wheelchair for the legs. So it was now a process of me adapting from moving from a wheelchair to being able to move for myself. I won't say it was the easiest of jobs because I'm just used to sitting and pushing my chair.
Yeah.
But now you have to move from that to being able to wear feet, and so it wasn't the hardest because at first I think it was painful, but as time went on, I adjusted to that.
What was life like for you? Was it easy to make friends? Do you still have some of those friends that you made when you were 7 or 8 years old?
I have one friend. He used to still lives across where we used to stay. So he's colored, his name is Waid. He's one person I think I had from before I used a wheelchair to when I started using a wheelchair to when I got these shoes. So I think that's one person I would say stands out who's still there even now. So making friends back then was, I could say, hardish because kids at that age, the assumption was if we touch this guy, most probably we'd be like him, or if we associate with him, we'd be like him.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know where that comes from, but you find people who actually believe that. And if you actually are in contact with someone like that, then they think it's something that's transferred, of which that's not really the case.
So how did you manage that? Did the teachers not help at all?
Teacher I could recall was my grade 7 teacher. I think she is one person who...
Do you remember her name?
Yes, Mrs. Sitube. Right. She is one who made me feel welcome, and she made everybody understand that, you know what, he's different, yes, but he's just like you. So being in contact with him or making friends with him doesn't take away anything from you, doesn't take anything away from him. It's just as normal as making friends with anybody, with anyone else.
Now, one of your greatest pillars was your grandmother.
Yeah.
You were raised by your grandmother, right?
Yes. She still is my greatest pillar. Still is.
What sort of support did Gogo give you growing up, whether it was understanding your situation or getting you to feel stronger?
I think first and foremost my grandmother was making me feel comfortable. And I remember she'd say, "You're my handsome Uz." That's what she used to say, call me. And that gave me confidence because she would motivate me to do things that I was afraid of doing. For example, I sing. So I started singing in church, I think I was around 9 years old. And for me to be able to do that, it was through my grand. So she'd motivate me, and I'd stand in front of her and sing for her, and she'd tell me, you can do it, go out there and do it. So I think up until today, she was one of my greatest motivators.
All right, Uz, what do you sing?
Not anymore.
You don't sing anymore?
Well, I still sing.
What do you sing?
A mix of Afro-pop and gospel music. So I'm still trying to find where I am, because I do not want to be an artist who is half the side. I want to find a genre that will represent me the most and stick to that.
You write your own music?
Yes, I do.
Are you a love song sort of person, or what do you write on?
Yeah, I'm a love song type of person. So my Afro-pop songs, most of them are love songs, and obviously the gospel ones talk about God.
Okay. Yes. So life as a teenager, for you go to high school. Were you accepted? Did you seek acceptance? What was the process like of making friends as a teenager?
High school, mainly Form 1 and Form 2, those were not the best years of my life, because you're now transitioning from primary school and to this life where you guys think are adults now. So fitting in at that point really matters. So for me, Form 2 particularly was one of the hardest years for me, because I found myself trying to push to fit in. So you find that people are pulling away. So you'd find yourself trying to fit in groups that you don't really fit in, and you'd find yourself associating with people that don't really complement who you are. So I think that was one of the hardest years for me, because it was filled with trying to fit in and push into places where I didn't really fit.
So how did you overcome this period?
Wow, I'm not really sure how I overcame that, but I just remember being at a position where I was like, you know what, this is who I am. It's not going to change today, it's not going to change tomorrow, it's not going to change ever. So it's either I pick myself up, dust myself, and just accept myself for where I am and move on with life, or I choose to take what people say about me and make it define me. But somehow, some way, I found myself picking myself up and choosing myself. So I told myself that, you know what, whoever picks me will move. Whoever is not on my side will let it be.
Is there a need when you're living with disability or seeking acceptance to try and outperform everybody else so you can prove a point?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's a need, but the way society treats you, it then comes across as a need, because you're trying to drive across, as you said, a point where you're saying, I'm able to do what you do, and maybe I can do it 2 times better than you. But I don't think it should come from a point whereby I want it to be seen so that I'm accepted or so that I fit in. But I think it should be something that if I'm good at something, then let it speak for itself. Let it not come from a point whereby I'm saying, I am proving that I am good at this, or I can do it just as you can do it.
14, 15, Form 2, that was the most difficult period in Uzile's life, living with disability. That conversation continues when we come back. You're watching Man to Man. Thank you for staying with us. You're watching Man to Man. I'm your host, Hugo de Batika. With me on the show today is Uzile Mkwanzi, and we're having a conversation about his life living with disability. Because we touched on Form 2, so you're probably about 14 or 15 years old, and that journey of acceptance. You, at some point, obviously finished your schooling and you went to university. Talk to us about the rest of your life in high school and eventually what led you to university and what you're studying now?
Okay, so Form 1, Form 2, I then transferred to a different school, and when I got to that school, I don't know, but I just found myself being out there and being able to do things that I wasn't able to do before. I don't know how that came about, but I think most of it was the people that I was surrounded with. I met a girl called Michelle. She's still one of my closest friends up until today. She is someone I connected with when we met. So a funny story, when we were playing around in school, I can't remember what I took from her. Then she was chasing me around the school. Then it happened that my belt broke, then my shoe fell off. And it's where other classes are. So people are now looking and watching what's happening. She ran away and she cried because she thought maybe I was hurt and then I found myself going to her and telling her everything is okay, and I was not really moved about it. So life after that, I think the way people saw me treating that incident, because maybe I would have panicked or started crying, but I was just cool about it. So I'd like to assume that incident made people just treat me as a normal person, because I'm comfortable in my own skin. So it was easy for them to adapt and get to know me. Then that was Form 3, Form 4, no problems really there. And then A-level, one of my best lives, best years of my life.
Yeah.
I was in good books with everybody, school admin, and everything was well. So I might say a challenge came when I then had to transition from high school to university. So here you're meeting people from different walks of life.
You're currently in university?
Yes, I'm currently in university doing my final year.
What are you studying?
I'm studying media and marketing communication. So first year was one of the hardest for me when it came to making friends, because now people are a bit grown and they make friends on the basis of who you are, what you bring to the table. So from a distance, they're just looking at this guy with a disability, quiet, and nobody would be interested to come and say, hi, how are you, and get to know you. But then I met two girls and a guy, Owen, Amanda, and Zanile. Those are the first friends that I met first year of high
school. Were they friends themselves?
No, Zanile and Amanda were friends. Yeah. Owen was on his own. So I made friends with these guys. Then through them, I got to meet other people, but that did not make university any easy. But I think I just taught myself that, you know what, I have these people who are around me. I have these people who found comfort in me, and I found comfort in them. So I'll just move it there.
So let's talk about dating.
Right. Okay.
You're a good-looking young man,
yeah.
And I'm sure at some point you wanted to meet the girls. That journey?
Well, it's had its ups and its downs. I'd say my first proper relationship, I was in upper 6, final year of high school, and I won't lie, that was one of the best times of my life, because at that point people are also worried about what you look like. But I've managed to find someone who was not really bothered about it, someone who would go out in public places with me, we'd go out for movies, we'd go out for dates, and somebody who just found you as normal as anybody.
Yeah.
And I've also had other relationships that I've just felt like, oh man, this person is so adorable, and I've been made feel as comfortable as ever. And then, and I'm forever grateful for those people that I met. And then you meet people in life that make seem dating you as something that's beneficial to you. So they make it seem like you are benefiting from that, and they're doing you a favor.
Yeah.
At one point, someone says to me, I was not as interested as they were. So I tried to be as nice about it. And she says to me, I'm actually doing you a favor because I don't think people are looking away. So that was painful. But at that stage in my life, I was like, you know what? I've had proper relationships. I still have more people that are interested in me. So what you choose to say will not bring me down or make me choose you just because you said that. Okay, my question now is, even if I chose that person, what type of a relationship would that be when someone says, I'm actually doing you a favor? So it really doesn't work out. So I could safely say I've had my fair share of proper relationships and I've had nightmares, if I may put it that way.
So let's talk about what you look for in a woman. Are there specifics that come to mind about certain characteristics, personality type? Have you dated a woman with disability? Would you date a woman with disability?
Okay. First question on the type or maybe characteristic. I'm looking for someone who's open-minded. I'm looking for someone who's willing to try new stuff, who is out there. Someone who I can say puts themselves second and puts other people first. Someone who cares about other people. Someone who's smart and God-fearing.
Yeah.
I think those are the characteristics that I look at. And then in terms of dating someone with a disability, I haven't dated someone with a disability. I'd say because I haven't met someone I was interested in, let me put it that way. I do have female friends that have disabilities. And yes, some of them have come in a way of trying to make relationships. But getting to know that person, you're like, no, not for me. So, yeah.
Uzile Mkwanzi on the show today, man to man, having a conversation about living with disability. We're back in a moment. Thank you for staying with us. You're watching Man to Man. Uzile, appreciate you being on the show today.
Thank you.
A number of conversations that we've had over the last few minutes. I want to talk a little bit about your conversations with other people with disability. You've talked about having friends that have disability. What are the sort of conversations that you have around coping or managing or advice that you give each other?
Okay. So majority of the things that we talk about is, okay, what brings us together is the pain that we felt at some point and how you were able to move from that, because your coping strategy might be beneficial for me and you might have not necessarily met the challenges that I've met, but maybe in future. So after having such a conversation with someone, when you come across something like that, you're like, oh yeah, she once mentioned this, he once mentioned this. So it's easier to deal with that. So some people call it trauma bonding.
Yeah.
But I'd say it's just sharing life stories and understanding each other. So on words of encouragement, I think as cliche as it may sound, it's just keep going. And no matter how hard life gets, no matter how much people laugh at you or whatever people say about you, life goes on. We win some, we lose some. So you just move with those that want to move, and the ones that don't want to associate with you, you can't force them.
Did you learn that on your own? Is it something that was taught to you? I know that Gogo was a pillar in your life. What sort of conversations did she have with you at the outset? You know, stuff that encouraged you, that made you stronger. I know she was super proud of you, called you her ooze.
Yeah. I think I'd say my gran was and is still one of my first what can I call it, counselor, if I might put it that way. So if ever I had a challenge, she's the first person I'd go up to. So now I'm quite an emotional person.
Yeah.
So if anything happens to me, the first thing you'd see is me crying. So she'll know something is definitely wrong. So whether I try to hide it or she'll just know something is wrong. And I then tell her this and this and this happened. And then she'll say to me, have I ever made fun of you? No. Have I ever said anything weird about you? No. And when I call you out, do I use what you are to call you out? No. So then why would you let somebody who you don't know, a stranger, why would you let them have so much control over you when you know that as your granny, I love you so much? So I also had my aunt, my granny's last born, she passed away. So she was also one person who used to fight for me. And she's one person who did not take any nonsense when it came to me. So when it would come to people saying funny things about me, she'd stand and she'd call them out. So she was also quite an emotional person. So I remember the last time she did that, she was in tears and she was light. So she was now red and she was really angry. And yeah, so I'd say my granny, my aunt, and the rest of my family are people that have just motivated me to move on with life, do good, no matter what people say, just fight and do you.
So let's talk about the horizon. What does the horizon hold? What's your 3-year plan? What's your 5-year plan?
Well, first of all, I have an organization that I've been wanting to start. It's called #AreWeDifferent. So
#AreWeDifferent.
Yes. So this is an organization that's going to be led by people with disabilities, for other people with disabilities. What are we doing there? We want to groom people with disabilities. We want to give them life lessons. We want to, the lessons that I never got from other people and the lessons that I've learned in life are the lessons that I want to share with other people. There's someone out there who still believes that they shouldn't be seen outside, they shouldn't be seen trying to do new stuff. But the main goal of that organization is to take a child that's sitting at home, ashamed of who they are, and bring them to the light and just, make them see the world and push them in life. And I still want to be in the media space. So whether a news anchor or whether, like you, one of the greats, so I still want to be in the media space. And my music as well, I want to be known for the music that I'm going to be releasing. So I would say my life 3 years, 5 years from now, I want to be not a celebrity, but someone who's known, someone who's making an impact in people's lives. Yeah.
Uzile, thank you so much for coming onto the show. It's been absolutely enlightening.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Ike.
Uzile Mkwanzi on this week's edition of Man to Man, talking to us about his life with disability, the challenges that he's faced, and certainly the many successes that he's enjoyed. And that's where we leave it for this week. I'm your host, Shugura Batika. Look forward to the pleasure of your company at the very same time next week. Remember, we leave no man behind. Goodbye.